Welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin. That's right, the show about pro wrestling and everything else.
Can you stop yelling in my ear?
Stay out of this. Well, why are you stepping on my intro?
Because it's boring and we just need to get this show up and running.
Stop that. I'm the man of the hour, the man with the power. Too sweet to be sour, the Duke. And I'm here with the Boston bad boy, the grumpiest man in all podcasts. What's wrong with you?
I'm sitting here. That's what's wrong with me.
You look
Every week you ask me what's wrong with me.
You look ridiculous today.
Why?
Like you always do.
What happened?
You're wearing a sweater today, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a fisherman's sweater.
And you're wearing jeans.
Yeah.
You make fun
Look
of...
at you. You look like a flower that's opening for the springtime rain. You've got like 17 layers on. We're sitting in a room that's temperature controlled at 72 degrees.
Yeah.
And you want to just... Is that an ascot? Is there something polka dot? What is that?
What do you mean?
You're in a polka dot shirt, aren't you?
I am. I'm very sharp.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm very sharp.
No. The top of your head's sharp, that's for sure.
Well,
pointy.
Listen, I brought my... since you want to talk about the way that I dress, okay? Mm-hmm. I brought my designer here. Okay? This is my personal assistant / designer. He makes sure that the Duke is always looking sharp.
Well,
okay?
Is he seeing impaired? Is that what this person is?
No, I brought him here to help you out because you definitely need it. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, say hello to Ryan English.
Wow, look at that. Ryan English, tall lad.
That's me. Thank you very much.
He doesn't have an accent.
Oh, he definitely has an accent.
No. He doesn't have an accent. This is a man.
I don't want to come on too strong.
This is a man.
There it is.
This is a man who I've known for many years, and Ryan has actually lived abroad. He's our international course.
He's lived abroad.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. In Her Majesty's prison. And I remember listening one night after a couple of cocktails, we goaded him into, listen, you've been living here for many years in England. Give us a British accent, because I could do a half-decent one. The worst fake British accent ever. From a man who was living there for so long.
I shan't do one for you.
Please don't.
Not able to.
The fact that he talks to you that way, now that I don't feel so bad. Because he talks to me in a way that's very disrespectful. It is.
I know, I am.
It is.
Well, you just get a little bit on the mic, please. Just a little bit closer. I know you've
done
done
white
this
glove out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah, you want the people to love you. Let the people love you.
Well, listen, you know what he's going to do to you anyway. He does it to me. He's going to turn your mic down. So the finished product, he's going to sound big and booming, which he doesn't have a big and booming
He's got
voice.
That Bill O'Reilly cut the mic thing.
That's what he does. That's what he does.
To play us out. Can we play us out here?
No, we're not going to play us out. We're playing us in here. On this week's episode, we have our man from the PWTorch. We're talking about Bruce Mitchell.
Really?
Yeah. He has a lot to talk about.
Why would he call you?
Because I'm an
You're
important
a nobody.
guy. You know,
You're
we
a
had
nobody.
Wade Keller on before, so why not?
Again,
have
you're
Bruce?
a nobody. Why are these people talking to you?
Whatever.
Can we talk about something more important than wrestling? Literally anything else? I don't know what. I'm just suggesting we talk about anything other than wrestling.
Before we get into the top pro wrestling stories of the world, why don't you talk about the fact that your president,
my president,
went over there to meet with Rocket Man.
Little Rocket Man.
And now I don't know.
What is going on here?
I don't know.
What is going on in your country?
I don't know.
What is going on?
I don't know. Ryan English, do you know what's going on?
I'm not sure.
Huh?
You've been watching a lot of CNN lately. I know that.
Yeah, watching a lot of CNN. But I haven't learned anything.
That's
really
anything.
Problem. 62 hours.
All right, so
CNN.
first of all, today's Thursday.
Yes.
Yesterday, Cohen ratted them all out. He's ratted you out.
Babyface turn.
This guy, and he wasn't rattled by any of them.
No.
Like, they tried to sleazy lawyer him, and he's the sleazy lawyer.
He's the lawyer, yeah. You can't out-dirty the dirtiest player in the game. It's not going to work.
Well, again, it's like this is what – right, exactly. And when he decides to go straight – that guy was nothing like he was on television before.
No.
And I think they weren't expecting that.
Yep.
Like, even them still not aware of the con that's going on.
Well, he was in control.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the problem.
And it was so – I've never seen someone so in control.
Sure.
Because he's a con man. Like, literally, that's what the whole deal is.
But he seemed pretty humble.
Yeah, I don't know how he managed to do that, which, again, I think is part of his con.
Well,
I think
I don't
he's
think
a
that's
guy
a con.
that
You're going to jail.
He looked like the air had been taken out of him.
Yeah, you're going to jail.
But I still think that's all. I don't mind it because he's given the dirt because they're all dirty.
Look at you. Don't spill stuff on my equipment.
Shut up.
Jesus.
I think they're all dirty, but I think it's part of the con to make everyone else believe something about him, right?
No.
He's good, like Trump is, at making people believe something other than the truth. And you know what? I don't know that he's remorseful if he's not. I really don't care. But I think he pulled it off that he was remorseful.
The problem is he's going to jail, and
How long is he going to jail
alleged
for?
president labeled him a rat. So they're going to try to kill him in jail. Let's just get that clear here.
He's
Somebody's
doing,
going to try to
he's
hurt
doing
him in
Henry
jail.
Hill.
He's going to that easy federal prison.
Yeah,
He's not.
He's doing the one where they're going to bring the prosciutto
That
in
doesn't
and the
mean-
wine.
That doesn't mean somebody's not going to try to make a name
He's
on
going
for
to a
themselves.
kosher prison. It's like a special.
Oh,
Is he
kosher
really?
prison.
Yeah, he's going to a kosher prison.
I didn't realize that existed. I
This
assumed
was
they
in
were
the New York
kosher.
Times as a special.
I realized. I thought maybe there'd be like a
kosher
section.
If he's interacting with people, somebody's going to try to hurt him.
They're going to send the Hebrew Hammer after him.
Somebody's going to try to hurt him. That's the point.
He's going to be able to get into the kosher prison.
As long as it's not a what is it that Liam Neeson said he's going to use? A kosh.
A kosh.
It's not a kosh.
Liam Neeson.
I think we'll be all right.
And what can we just talk about that for a second? What is people of color still defending Liam Neeson because they like the guy?
That's just gaslighting at this point.
Actually, you know what? Our friend Ryan Englisher, who lived abroad under Her Majesty's thumb, what is the deal with, because I know that race relations in Europe are way different than here in America. And I think Liam Neeson didn't think it was a big deal to say what he said, given the culture there and in Ireland and the time frame.
I just think he slipped up in general just for a minute. He just forgot that was going to be horrible. He just seemed to just completely forget how controversial.
Well, he was comfortable telling the story, though.
Oh, he's told that story many times.
That's a bar story.
See, I feel like that was a story that came out of nowhere.
No, I feel like he's told that story to say, and I feel
he's
like
not an idiot.
He told that story to his friends. Like if he was right, if we were buddies of his, and he told us that story, and he said, "Listen, I was so enraged. I had this racially motivated thought, but you know what? I got help with it." And we would all, as his friends, go, "Wow, I'm glad you're better about it," and nothing happened.
No,
but you don't do that. You don't say, "Wow, it's the equivalent of like I have a black friend now, so I can't be racist anymore," even though
exactly
I
what it
was.
is. Yep.
Like he lost the plot, and I just don't think he really gets it. That you can't have that conversation in public.
He was proud of telling that story. You don't tell stories like that unless you.
You think he was proud to tell that?
I think that was.
I think he was proud of. I think he was making it about him without realizing it. Well, it wasn't ever about him. Like it was about his view on going out. The basis of his murder was going to be. Someone posted a great meme, which was if Liam Neeson told a story about how his friend was bitten by a golden retriever. And he said, "You know what? I walked the streets looking for a golden retriever, any dog to murder, any dog to just slaughter in the street.
Yeah.
People would be losing their effing minds."
But even if you took race completely out of it, just the story itself
is insane.
Without race is insane.
Right,
sure.
right.
But
See,
the race
you add that in.
that
like
extra
my friend was raped, so I just wanted to go out and kill
anybody.
Not the person that had raped my friend.
Yeah, anybody.
But just anybody that
Now,
kind of looked like.
If he had put that qualifier on it, like I went out to look for the guy.
Yeah.
I think we're not even having this conversation.
Well, no one's going to ask him.
That would have sold the Taken movie, Taken 9 or whatever.
right.
Taken 9.
Yeah. yeah. He's not.
How the hell do we go from Cohen to Liam Neeson? What just happened?
Well, because we're talking about people who have a racist stint, and the president of the United States was called by Michael Cohen a racist, a con man.
Very true.
And I forget what the third one was.
Who knew?
I mean, could you? This is such a surprise.
Breaking news.
I know you've been out of the country for a while, and I just don't know if you know
think
this.
that's internationally known. I don't think.
You think that when Angela Merkel talks to Ivanka Trump about monetary policy?
I think coconut farmers on Fiji know that Trump is a racist.
This could be true. This could be true.
Well, again, and just to put a point on this, and the hearing yesterday, the Republicans brought out a woman who works for the Donald Trump organization. She's an executive.
That was the most awkward moment.
That right there. If that's not something that ends up like in when you see like montages of like Martin Luther King walking in Selma and like all these different civil rights, and then that thing is not included 20 years from now.
I like that congressman brought her out like she was like the Scopes trial or something. They brought it
right.
out like, oh,
proof.
I have proof here. Look at this.
Like he was missing just a little wooden pointer to be like, and here are her
A.
eyes.
He's got a real live black woman
right.
who works for the Trump organization.
Yeah. Right.
He's not racist.
None of this could be true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Cohen wasn't having anything to do with it.
No.
But he got called a racist later on, which whether or not you agree that was strong language or not,
I thought it was awesome.
I thought it was great. And I think she was right on point.
Yeah.
And you knew she was on point because the guy almost cried.
Yep.
But that is this, that's the racial thread. And that's an unbelievable thing that we're having this conversation in this country in 2019 because it's absolutely ridiculous. And they didn't understand that, like, having this woman appear from the crowd and then she disappeared immediately. Like,
who didn't say anything, by
who
the
didn't
way.
say anything.
She wasn't allowed to say anything. Just look at this black woman.
Right.
This can't be
And it
true.
was the ultimate expression of I have a black friend. I can't be racist.
Amazing. It was
like
amazing.
they still don't
But
understand
he
that
doubled
race
down.
is a system.
My nieces and nephews are people of color. So you know I'm not a racist.
But as we know, racist, it's the system, right? Am I right about that? It's not literally the bigotry of hating a different person of color. And as I've said to you, this is a perfect example that I've said many times. There's nothing worse nothing more than that a racist hates than being called a racist.
Yes.
It's the only thing they hate more than black people is being called a racist.
Their racism is okay,
apart.
but don't give me the label.
But true ignorance is when stuff gets past the censors. The fact that a bunch of people in a room thought that was going to fix this.
Oh, yeah. Like they agreed on that.
That passed the smell test. That nobody said, you know what we might be accused of here.
Yeah.
We just happened to bring out a random black lady and say, hey.
I bet
nobody said, oh, the optics on that. That might not, bringing out one black friend.
I bet you a black person wasn't in the room when they were making that decision.
Well, I bet you it's pretty obvious there wasn't. Were there any black men or women on the Republican panel?
No, of course not.
No, exactly. So
what is that?
Well, they didn't think. They're not thinking.
Well,
strategy
black Republicans are like white rhinos. Like
very hard to spot.
You have to really search.
Right. Well, I thought The Onion wrote a very funny article, which was Trump. Trump says goodbye to what's his name? Who's the guy that ran for president? Dr. Ben.
Ben Carson. Sleepy Ben.
Yeah, he said
Ben.
Trump says goodbye to Sleepy Ben till the next Black History Month, which is like
just bring him out for this.
But that ties into exactly what actually literally we watched it happen in real life. This was not a dramatization.
We never hear anything from Ben Carson. What's Ben Carson up to?
Ruining HUD, ruining everyone's lives.
Unqualified. And then you've got Betsy DeVos. She wants to bring God's kingdom back into the educational system. I mean, all right, I got to ask you, you're pretty savvy on politics. When Trump goes, do they all go? I mean, obviously when a new president comes in, just in general, they put their own people in.
They get their own heads.
But if Trump goes kicking and screaming,
sure.
Does do they all just jump ship, you think, or do they have to be removed?
No, they're going to be smart enough to get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
because the jig is up. Yeah,
I would think so.
We're talking about a RICO case here. We're not talking about, you know what I mean?
Which I thought it was great. I don't remember the senator from Maryland? He brought up that, because they were trying to say, well, Cohen's a liar. Well, you can't trust him. He's a liar. And they said, well, that's RICO. That prosecution is built on flipping witnesses. That's exactly what we had going on here.
But also you're using the biggest liar against this other liar.
Right.
Liar.
Right.
Liar on liar.
Right.
Pants on fire.
Right. Well, that's why they get those golden showers.
And we're going to move on from that. and once again, for the
not that there's anything wrong with it.
For the peanut gallery out there, Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. So, yes, this is wrestling related, folks.
Well, exactly, because the WWE is racist. We've talked about that many times.
You're not going to talk about my good friend Vincent Kenny McMahon like that.
There are many things they've done.
We were going in the right direction, and then you went the wrong way with that.
We've got our guy coming on.
We can also point out that Linda McMahon does work for the Trump administration.
She earned that.
You know why? And I said it before.
Head of the small business.
That's right.
That's right. WWE is a very small business.
Yeah, small-minded business. And, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It would not surprise me if it comes out that the WWE and they're laundering money, they're cleaning money for Trump, and they were involved in doing it with all this Russia, the Deutsche Bank stuff. If they get involved, I'm not surprised. Because Trump's running this administration like Vince McMahon would run a wrestling promotion.
What is wrong?
It's all bluster. It's all the game.
The WWE is live from Moscow.
Yeah, well, they've already done it.
Moscow Mania.
They've already done Saudi. They might have They've done it for Saudi Arabia. Even worse than Moscow.
Why'd you have to bring up Saudi Arabia?
Because it's
going
disgusting.
In the right direction
it's disgusting.
Until you did that. I don't know about that.
All right, come on, go through these stupid stories of wrestling.
Let's talk about the top stories.
We'll bore Ryan right out of the room.
No, he has an opinion about stuff too. Hopefully, he doesn't say anything derogatory.
I don't know anything about this, but I'll have an opinion anyway.
Exactly right. Well, that's how I do this show.
How about this? Chris Hemsworth. Is he British? The Hemsworth?
I think he's Australian.
Oh, Australian. Okay.
He's like the convict type of British.
Oh,
If you're British but a convict, you are Australian.
Well, that's what happened.
Like The Leftovers.
That's what happened. I used to love that show, by the way, HBO, The Leftovers. Chris Hemsworth is going to play Hulk Hogan in a Netflix biopic.
Is he going to be racist?
That's what we have to wait and see. That could be the best part about it.
Hulk Hogan, so there's a story.
Probably a better sex tape.
So he knows the story.
Something that won't make you ill. There was a story that this was a couple of months ago. The WWE wheeled Hulk Hogan back into the room to what were they talking about?
Well,
it was about race. It was about
it was about what Hogan got in trouble for.
It was about the racism that Hogan was involved
on
in
the same sex tape.
On the same sex tape,
where he talked about, I'm a racist. I'm a racist, F and N words, but I don't want my daughter dating him and all that.
About that part
of the tape. That was definitely part of the tape.
Part of the tape is that he is a racist, and he
raging racist. He literally said, "I am a racist."
And so
you can see how surprised I am. I don't know if the listeners can see, but you can see on my
there's
face
a mark of surprise. Yeah,
how surprised I am.
And there were rumors that he was anyway.
Sure.
For people that worked with him for years, but they drag him into the WWE, and he delivers like a non-apology in the room,
in
like
front
he goes
of everybody,
in the room,
including people of color,
and basically says, I didn't. He did the sort of I didn't need to do this. It's like Trump with the emergency. I didn't need to do this, but
watch what you say out there, folks, because people could be taping you.
That's what he says.
He doesn't say I apologize for the things that I said, and then
standing in front of a room. There's a lot of African American and people working in the WWE now,
Yep.
and in a room full of them.
Mm-hmm.
He does this whole thing of not I'm sorry, but I'm sorry that I got taped.
Yes. And don't be like me and get caught.
I bet he is.
No, I bet he is. Well, does he have what is he? T-shirts now?
He made fucking so much money.
He did.
He took down
a huge
Gawker.
amount of money.
He took down
Huge amount
Gawker.
of money.
Yeah.
Single-handedly.
He gave.
Did he get money? Because they went bankrupt. Did he get
got money.
in the
He
end
only
off
got
of
like
them?
I think it was something like $50 million or something like that.
He
It
only
wasn't.
got
It
only
wasn't
$50
what he
million.
won, but he definitely got something.
more money than he would have made off that porn tape.
Yeah.
Let's be
More
honest.
money than he's made doing anything else
Well,
recently.
Well, they were going to do No Holds Barred 2.
Oh yeah. Well, Hemsworth is going to play Hogan, young Hogan.
Could we get Terry Crews in there to like beat the ever living snot out of Hogan in real life?
I'm sure Terry Crews
I'd like to do
wouldn't
that.
mind doing that. That would be
I'd like to
pretty
see
cool.
that, like an MMA style fight. So they're playing him in a movie.
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's coming
Okay.
out. So
All right.
What is the movie going to be about, though?
Hulk Hogan's early career.
Where he was young and a racist,
Yes.
not old and a racist.
Yes.
The
Nick.
Diary of a Young Racist.
The Diary-
Exactly. That could be the name of it. Netflix. There you have
There
it.
it is.
Diary of a Young Racist. The Hulk Hogan story. Moving on. The Honky Tonk Man.
My favorite.
He is going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Finally.
You've been asking for that.
I have the music
You
hall,
remember
the
the
Rock and
Honky
Roll
Tonk
Hall of Fame.
No, the WWE
They
Hall
should
of
put him in
Fame.
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Can you imagine that?
Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yes, the Honky Tonk Man. But
Yeah.
he's going to be in.
He's still with us, right?
Yeah.
How many guitars? There must be a number of how many he's gone through over
It's
the
got to be
years.
thousands.
You remember now? You
Where
remember the
where
Honky
is
Tonk
the
Man.
Wrestling Hall of Fame? For those
It's-
people who are taking a spring break.
Well-
That's a very good question.
Well, we're no.
Thank you for being here.
No. We're not going to
Duke,
go there.
explain to us where the WWE Hall of Fame is. Now, there's a Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is
Sure.
in Texas.
Yep.
Because people might be looking for spring break
Ideas. And this is a very good. I'm glad you brought
They
this up.
can
You know,
visit.
not everybody makes it to the National Yarn Museum.
That's
so
right.
People
So
might be looking.
They can visit the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Okay, where
They
is
don't
the
need-
WWE Hall of Fame?
There's no physical location yet. Just so you know,
It doesn't
But
exist.
It'll come.
Off
It ex-
I-95 in Hartford, Connecticut.
In beautiful Hartford, Connecticut.
Downtown Hartford.
The insurance capital of the world.
Listen, I got to make something clear here.
I'm really glad he came on today. He sided with me.
I don't appreciate anybody saying anything negative about my good friend Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He's,
You don't
he's
know
a personal
him.
friend of mine.
No,
I do
he's
know
not.
him. I do know
No,
him.
you don't.
We're like family. So be careful what you say about my friend. Okay, I'm
I
just
haven't
gonna
said anything about Vince.
put that out there. And you know what? Since we're on the topic, I'm just gonna go there right now because I don't
Yep.
want you bringing it up on me. Arn Anderson, Double A,
Don't know who that
WWE
is.
Hall of Famer. He was with the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair's enforcer,
Mhm.
right hand man. He was fired this week
Because he's
by
100?
Vince McMahon because they got into an argument and Vince
Really?
was not happy with him. And let me just say this: you fire people who you're not happy with. I'm just going to put that out there.
Please do. That's why I'm
Okay.
trying to make you miserable.
No, you're stuck in your contract. You're not going anywhere. And Ryan English, I'm going to put you in a contract too.
Wow. Don't do it.
No, when people disrespect the boss, especially Vince McMahon, you get fired. Period.
He's a carny.
Period.
He's a clown. He's
People are
literally a
complaining
clown.
about this guy getting fired. He should have been fired. What the hell?
Why?
Because you don't disrespect the boss.
You
That's it.
disrespect me all the time.
Well,
And
you're
everyone
not in
knows I'm the
charge of
boss of
anything.
this show.
You're not Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I'm going to turn your mic off right now and show you how I'm the boss of this show. You ready?
Put my mic back on.
Absolutely not. I'm the boss of this show.
Jesus.
No. I'm going to keep talking. You think you're so smart?
Put my mic back on now.
See, look how this worked out for Bill O'Reilly. This isn't going to work out for you long term.
Testing.
I'm going to end up like
What the hell
Glenn
is
Beck
wrong
if I have any luck.
Don't do
Speaking
that.
of crazy right-wing guys, you sent me the video of Alex Jones on
Oh,
the
yeah, Alex Jones.
what was he on?
Alex Jones is afraid to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast.
I'm afraid to have him here.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
We
liability?
should
of
ban
Banned
that?
him
both.
from this show.
I did.
Written and email invitations.
hand engraved.
Yeah.
He was
What-
on Joe
what-
Rogan's podcast, losing his mind. It was
Took
hysterical.
his shirt off. He did a lot of stupid stuff. Listen, Batista, who's
Yeah.
a big Hollywood star now. You know, he's in the Gardens of Galaxy franchise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what does he play? He plays the big guy in that.
Yeah, he plays one of the guard. He's the purple and green.
big guy.
I don't know his name.
Yeah,
Well-
very helpful. The purple.
The purple,
and
the
green
Purple.
guy.
He plays the purple.
He plays an alien. He's all
Exactly.
he's like CGI'd up.
Well, he says that The Rock is not a great actor.
I agree with that. 100%.
No.
Can
We're
we
not.
say he's the best wrestler that became an actor?
Yes.
Okay. But he's a great actor. He's box office, baby.
Although, you know what?
He's box office, baby.
Roddy Piper is a great actor in that movie.
He's a great actor in everything.
That's right.
Roddy Piper was a great actor.
That's right. So
sure.
Roddy Piper's a great actor. The Rock is not.
He's box office. So that means he's a great actor.
Okay. Tom Cruise is box office. He's not a great actor either.
Tom Cruise is awesome. What are you talking about?
Have you ever seen the picture where they take Tom Cruise and split it down the middle and his tooth is actually in the middle of his face?
No.
You'll never unsee it once you see it.
I don't even want to see that.
Yeah,
he's very short.
Oh, yeah. He's like 5'2".
Yeah.
Short. That's taller than you, though.
4'9".
Oh, see, look at we got the fact checker here now. That's right. Well, anyway, Batista, if I ever see you, and you're very much bigger than me, if I ever see you,
and here we go.
I'm going to run away from you. But don't talk about The Rock like that.
Well, here's the thing. Batista is probably making decent money. He's been in a Bond. He's been in a Bond movie.
Yeah, big time money.
He's been in these this Marvel movie stuff.
Sure.
And the reason The Rock is he's box office. He got into these stupid franchises. Most of the movies he's doing Jumanji. That doesn't require I don't. He was Tom Hanks in that movie.
He was great in Jumanji.
Yeah, but I don't need in Fast and the Furious. We don't need Laurence Olivier.
He was great in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, but that's like saying you're great on this podcast. It doesn't mean anything. The context is all screwed up.
I think he was fantastic in Green Book.
He wasn't in that. Or was he?
No. What the hell? All right. Ric Flair's birthday just passed. Celebrated, star-studded event.
How old is Rick now?
I think he's like 74 now, something like that.
He looks exactly the day we saw him first.
He's still Space Mountain, baby. You know what he's taking now? Blue Chew.
What the fuck is that?
It's an erectile dysfunction chewable.
Selling it or taking it?
No, he's taking it. It's a chewable.
He's chewing
chewable.
it. Chewing his way to better erections.
That's right. That's what
You're tired of swallowing your erectile dysfunction pills?
You don't need a prescription for this. This is the new thing.
Oh, I see.
It's mail order too.
Is it a real?
It's like an herbal.
Is it like an herbal supplement?
It's holistic. It's all the rage in wrestling. A lot of them are taking this stuff. I'm just telling you. Ric Flair, he's a Blue Chew guy.
Speaking of which, wasn't there was a wrestler we talked about?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mabel.
There's a wrestler named Mabel, and this you'll find this interesting. It was blown open by his buddies or
Jim Ross,
all these guys. After a long night of wrestling, right? He goes back to the hotel
by himself,
unwinds, pops a blue pill, and has himself a night with the in-house pornography. Now, I never thought of this.
Living the dream.
Well, I mean,
think about this for a second.
We've all got to unwind, but I never thought about this.
Yeah,
guys who can't get it up. Not that I know anything about that, but guys who can't get it up, you probably can't get it up when you're by yourself either. Never mind when you're like at Cialis sitting in the two tubs, like in the commercial. There's a lady next to you, both in bathtubs.
Can the guy have a decent life and get it up by himself at least?
Here's an off-the-wall question. Does WWE, do they reimburse those extra charges?
For the in-house?
They pay for the room, but do they pay for the mini bar and the movie charges?
All right, well, no, but you should be. You've worked in the hospitality industry here and there. You've dabbled. What happens when a corporate pays for something? Is it usually the above and beyond expenses?
Depends on how good they are.
It depends on how good they are. And so I'm guessing in that case, WWE, he's paying out of pocket for all that porn.
Isn't it worth it?
I bet that the WWE is probably pretty cheap.
Yes, absolutely.
I bet they're staying at like a Hampton Inn.
Oh yeah, these guys are roadies. Yeah, these guys are on. This is the wrestler. This is the wrestler. They're hanging out with actual Mickey Rourke in his seedy hotel on the edge of town.
That's a rough night. Jesus. Listen,
hotels that still have smoking rooms.
Right, or still smell of it.
Enough of this nonsense. The line is blinking there. Let's get our first guest on the line here. Bruce Mitchell, how are you, sir?
Doing just fine.
Actually, listen, I want to apologize ahead of time. The Boston bad boy, he has a thing about people with accents like yours. So if he says anything rude, I apologize ahead of time.
What is wrong with you?
What? I'm serious.
I didn't say anything bad. I don't even know this guy.
But I could see your face. I could see that you're making a face.
Now you're talking.
Where are you from, man?
I'm from Durham, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Loud and proud.
Great area. You know, a buddy of mine went to Elon University. I used to take that drive down to Elon all the time, and I would spend some time in Myrtle Beach first. I'd go down to South Carolina. Are you retired?
What is wrong with you? Are you 72 years old?
What? I'm telling
you. Spending time in Myrtle Beach?
Well, why not?
Do you golf? No, you don't do anything athletic.
I eat barbecue.
Why are you going to? What's wrong?
I eat a lot of. Bruce, tell us the best barbecue spot in North Carolina.
Stamey's Barbecue, right across from the Greensboro Coliseum.
Yeah. You know, if I'm honest, if he's not sending any this way, I don't really care.
Wow. Well, there it is. So, Bruce, tell us. I told you this guy's going to be a problem tonight. You're with the PWTorch, which, you know, I got to tell you, that's, you know, Wade Keller. That's my boy. He's been on the show. Love the guy to death. I'm not really sure what you do there. tell us what the Torch is and what your role is, please.
All right, PWTorch, PWTorch.com, PWTorch.com/GoVIP. It's a newsletter and a website that's been around covering professional wrestling for, I want to say, 32 years now. We predate the internet, covering it objectively, news, analysis, interviews, opinion columns, all kinds of things. We've been around for, more than a quarter of a century, and I've been writing for the Torch since 1990. So I've got 28 and a half years. I think it's 28 and a half.
So what you're saying is you have knowledge, you have respect in the wrestling world, but which is literally everything that Duke doesn't have and will never have.
Give me a break.
I don't know what Duke has, but yeah, we have.
No one does. No one actually does know what he has. So it's you and I are on the same page.
Tough crowd here.
My official title, by the way, is I'm the senior columnist, which translates into old. But
doesn't mean big bucks.
It means some bucks.
I want to be the senior podcaster on this show so I can actually make some money.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen.
I didn't think so.
No.
Oh, and I should say a ton of podcasts. I do the Bruce Mitchell Audio Show, which is the longest running wrestling weekly podcast and the second longest running weekly podcast of any time. I've been doing it for 14 years, 3 hours a week, 3 different shows usually, and
wow.
Which is part of a lineup of podcasting, because podcasting is huge. At the Torch, like 70 shows a month. Wade Keller himself does the Wade Keller Daily Audio, and we have stuff for free members, and we have stuff for free folks, and we have stuff for members, and just all kinds of stuff. So yeah, podcasting. That's where your big one is.
Do you have any tips on the podcasting vein for Duke to get better at the genre?
Why
and to
aren't
actually,
you asking for yourself? Why
because
are you
I know
asking
what
for
I'm
me?
doing.
Oh, okay.
And you need wrestling help.
Well, ask me after the show.
He's not going to give that out for everybody.
Yeah, exactly
That's
right.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I got to listen and judge.
That's right.
Oh, nice. Well, Bruce, since you've been doing this for so long, and especially with the Torch, which it's a newsletter. I definitely go there for wrestling news. Some folks will call it a dirt sheet. I think that's a derogatory term, so I don't use that. But tell us about a time when you pissed off a wrestler or somebody in the industry, because you've been around long enough where I'm sure you've pissed off a few. Tell us what happened.
I have.
Yeah. Tell us about the time where it was like literally the worst thing that happened, where somebody wanted to come after you or something.
There's been some of those times, and I always take that like this: if what I wrote was accurate and it was dead on, and they're really angry at me and they're coming after me, then it's something of a compliment. It's a pain in the ass, but it's something of a compliment. I would say recently I wrote a column about the New Day and the New Day and pancakes, and basically, as you guys know, that I'm from the South, and I grew up in the Bible Belt, and one of the things I grew up with was a story called Little Black Sambo, and the Jim Crow, the remnants of Jim Crow culture and all that. And so Little Black Sambo was a character that was read to white children for the most part, and really it's something of a derogatory character that stayed in the jungle and loved pancakes, and it seemed to me that New Day had appropriated some of that imagery, and maybe didn't know it, and maybe didn't realize that they were being that WWE, who also grew up, a lot of people, Vince McMahon, Michael Hayes, a lot of people that were important in that grew up in the same thing, and so people were really angry about that. New Day responded in the New York Post, saying that they could do what they want to, they didn't care, and so that was one of them. Jim Cornette to this day, describes from time to time my death and how he imagines it, and it's a very colorful, painful death based on some things I wrote several years ago, and that he has not forgiven me for, and I don't think he ever will. And then there was I was the first person to write about New Jack and Eric Koulis, and in Massachusetts. So there was a lot of bad feeling about that.
And just to catch people up, that's when New Jack actually stabbed a guy who was allegedly a fan, but I guess he did have some kind of experience, not much, but some.
He was a 17-year-old kid in the ring, and he took a box cutter and cut his forehead open, left permanent scars, and tacked him with a toaster oven. And anyways, some horrific footage that lasted about 15 or 16 minutes, and with the boy's father screaming at him, he's only 17, stop, and there ended up being a lot of consequence out of that. And sometimes people like to blame the messenger instead of blame the people that maybe they should have been blaming. And so there was a lot of bad feeling about that for a while. And ECW's, and to this day, there are people that are angry at me for writing about it.
Sure.
Even though they were selling tapes, Rob Feinstein, and they were selling tapes of it. But yeah, it does happen, and particularly it's happened with me over the years. And one pretty recently, if you've listened to, Bruce Pritchard just came back to WWE, and on his podcast had a very, in response to some criticism I had of the short story, some criticism I had of his recounting of the Montreal Screwjob, had a very colorful epithet to tag me with, and so now I hear this. Last couple of years, I've heard this.
What does he call you? What is the name that Bruce calls you?
Oh, the jack off from Greensboro. So jack off from Greensboro. So
it literally has fans calling him that.
Which is funny because your nickname is the jack off from Boston, dude. So it's funny how that story tied really nicely into this show.
Oh wait, Bruce, but I got to stop you for a second.
Fun. I mean, I actually took that, and I did take that one as a compliment.
Yeah, you took it. You have taken that pretty well there, which I think is pretty big of you. But let me go back for a second though, because you mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people are even aware of. Were you talking about the Little Black Sambo story and pancakes and all this stuff? And here you have New Day, who, a lot of folks have accused them of shucking and jiving, and the black wrestler cannot get over, with the exception of The Rock, unless they're making a fool of themselves or dancing or doing something ridiculous like that. Do you think that was on purpose by the WWE to perpetrate this really nonsensical racist caricature?
Well, I would say it wasn't but a few years ago that the WWE promoted Crime Time, which was the base of the base of the most vicious stereotype about African American men being shipped with gangsters, and and not even gangsters. It's more rip-offs and cheats and will steal from you and wearing grills and all the rest of that stuff. And even with Eddie Guerrero, there was a side of it, Mexicans steal, lie, cheat, and steal. That's what that's there. There's always been a thread of that throughout wrestling culture, and particularly in WWE, to the point where you just really. I mean, I would point to that SmackDown angle a week ago when Kofi Kingston of the New Day was summarily just by the big boss just said, well, you're not getting what you've earned because we're going to give it to a white guy. And depending on how you looked at it, and also the fact that the expectation is he'll come back around and Kofi Kingston will come back around and get his title shot. It's going to be there's a history of that. I mean, professional wrestling is trying to exploit feelings in a simple way to get people riled up to want to pay money to see a fight. They want to pay money to either see somebody lose, get their ass kicked, or see somebody win, and not only that, but buy their merchandise. So there's all these things that are out there in the wrestling culture to write about. And I've written about them. I have to be honest. I've written about them.
It strikes me funny that wrestling's audience is becoming more and more dark as the people of color are a huge audience makeup now, way more than before. Who are they really selling this to? That's what I want to know. Like, what's the these tropes that they're talking about, they're old tropes, very old in some cases, that a kid wouldn't necessarily pick up on that. Or maybe a kid like the New Day guys wouldn't pick up to say, wait a minute, you're not putting me in that situation, because we're a little bit far removed. So if the WWE is still pushing these threads, which I agree with you, they have been and probably always will, who are they talking to?
Well, I mean, that's a really interesting point, because this is a big multinational, publicly traded corporation, and they do they survey their audience. They know the demographics of their own audience, and you will notice that even though he's in their Hall of Fame and he the president headlined the WrestleMania, you don't see any imagery of President Trump during WWE shows, because they know that he's not as popular with their own fan base. So, yeah, I mean, that's always been a question to me. And then, New Day sells a lot as a mid-card act, they're very successful. They sell a lot of merchandise, and they're very good. They're very good wrestlers, very good performers at what they do. But if you watch the cameras pan the crowd, and if you talk to people, and talking to people, of course, is unscientific in some ways, but it gives you some idea. The people that really are into them, as you watch the camera, it's white faces, for the most part, and as kids, and white faces, people either don't know or don't care about all that, and then people of color notice. Particularly if they're grown up, they notice what kind of shucking and jiving stereotype that, and so when you play right directly into Little Black Sambo, I think I think that I wondered whether they knew. Then once I wrote it, and they're those three are college educated, very smart businessmen, and I got the impression they did that, and so yeah, I mean. I don't just write about negative parts of professional wrestling. I try to write about everything. My job to me is just to tell the truth.
Sure.
This is good. This is bad, and get it right. And so, but yeah, that's and I think that like the Saudi Arabia deal, they were able to make a lot of money off of that, and but it was real telling to me that like they weren't. If the NFL had done that, it would have been a major thing. The NFL, of course, is a lot bigger than they are, but it's not just that. People in mainstream society have this expectation of wrestling being, a clown show and a vulgar clown show, and so they don't expect it to do. They don't expect it to act up to any kind of thing. In the short run, I think it helps professional wrestling. They can just do what they want to. But in the long run, you're not going to be as big as you. Unless you're in the mainstream, you're never going to be as big as you could be. Well, that's we've all had that. We've all had that person, those people that look down on us for being wrestling fans. When you go, no, this is a really sophisticated art form and business, and it's very colorful and interesting. And when it's done well, it's as smart as anything. So, and when it's done well, it's who doesn't want to see two guys fight? Let's watch you and him fight and sell tickets to it. And that's that's a primal urge is to see that. So
let me ask you a question directly, Bruce, because I'm going to let the audience know this right up front. I mean, anyone who's listened to this show, they know that, the Boston Bad Boy and I, we don't shy away from any topics. We hit them head on. I had no expectation.
Well, I need to warn you ahead of time that while I'm more than willing to criticize other people, I'm very sensitive to criticism about myself.
So was the Boston Bad Boy, so that's not a surprise there.
All right.
But we didn't expect this conversation with you to even go in that direction, but I'm glad that it did, because you have brought up some things to the surface. And I'm going to link your article about what you said about the New Day and their response, what have you, because I think we need to rehash that and continue to look at that through fresh eyes. But let me ask you something else then. Is the WWE, I know the fan base is ready, but is the WWE ready to legitimately put women in a position where they are consistently the main event? If they're putting out the highest quality product, if they're generating the most interest right now, can they commit the company itself to putting women in a position where, yes, they are the featured attraction above all?
I'll say this for WWE. I think they are ready to do that. I think that sometimes people look at Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and what's going there and expect it to just be a matter of you just plug in women into the main event slots instead of men, and you get the same results, and not realizing that they've had to go against wrestling promotion of the last 40, 50 years. Fabulous Moolah very much held a monopoly, a very small monopoly on women's wrestling, and while it benefited her and her cronies, it didn't benefit women's wrestling very much at all. And then you had the Diva era with the Playboy and Sonny and Sable and all that stuff. More TNA thing, and then now they're reaching out to women and trying to build that women and young girls and trying to build that audience and build that acceptance among male fans. But in the history of professional wrestling, you've got Mildred Burke in the 1950s, who was a bigger star than any male wrestler, a bigger draw, and that's how you measure. It's like the money that people would pay to see her. And so, what I would say is, they're ready to do it, but those acts have to be built up, and that platform has to be built up, and it takes more than 3 or 4 years. So, and the key is not equality, the same number of jobs and the same number of it's finding that attraction that can draw that money in today's wrestling world with all the different ways of making money. Becky Lynch is bigger than anything we've seen in a long time. But is it equal to the men yet? I don't know. But they're holding. In fact, it's not yet, but it's holding its own and it's growing. Where the men seem to be kind of stagnating. So it's whoever you can get. It's whoever you can find that can be The Rock. It's whoever you can find that can be Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan or Dusty Rhodes or whoever you want to say. That if they're male or female, but if they're female, then that's going to bring some more there. So I think they're trying to, but I also think there's this pullback of we need the Mandys, we need the Alexa Blisses, we need the fitness models who look sexy according to what they think, and it's kind of the difference between Charlotte Flair and it's 9 or 10 diva types, and which way? What are you really going towards? The athletic woman who's sexy looking, but mostly is an athlete appealing to a broader base, or are you going for the guy who just wants 10 minutes of a break from the wrestling and to watch hot girls? And they seem to vacillate back and forth about that.
Wow, insightful. Bruce, if listeners want to read some of your stuff and want to hear more of you, how can they reach out and consume more of Bruce Mitchell?
This week, as a matter of fact, PWTorch.com, that's a free site, and there's samples of my writing, a lot of them, and there's including what we're talking about with the column about the New Day, and there'll be one this week, as a matter of fact. And so and there's free podcasts to listen to. Wade Keller has the Wade Keller Wrestling Podcast, and you can subscribe to that at iTunes and Stitcher and Apple and all the regular places. And as it happens, you guys are the first of 3 podcasts I'm recording tonight. So one of them will be with Wade Keller tonight. So look for that on the Wade Keller Wrestling Podcast. And and then you can sample it, and then if you like, you can become a VIP member. And the details for that, there's a ton of material you get for your $9.99 a month, and there's various specials that run from time to time. But on PWTorch.com, you'll see a button at the top, and you can click on it and see the testimonials and see what you get with that. But there's a lot to read and a ton to listen to, including, we talk about wrestlers being interviewed, and on a straightforward basis. Wade Keller was the pioneer in that. The Torch talk predates the shoe tape and the and all the things on YouTube and all those things. It's like in depth. We have in depth interviews with the biggest and the best in professional wrestling.
And that's why we've shown the Torch so much love, because we respect Wade and respect what you're doing over there as well. There,
and we respect the fact that you came on this show first and definitely gave us your best performance of the evening. So we appreciate that. We took all your good ideas.
So I really, you'll be able to tell. This is the high-quality part, and then kind of hacking it out for the other stuff.
Nice. His name is Bruce Mitchell. He's a great guy. Bruce, we'll have you on the show again, especially as we get closer to WrestleMania. Get your picks for that and what have you. But we appreciate you having you on the show, man.
Well, I very much appreciate coming on, and it wasn't quite as rough as you promised. So I appreciate the kid gloves a little bit.
Next time.
Oh, yeah, next time.
Wow. I did not expect that to go the way that it did.
No, but I'm glad it did, because this is something we talk about all the time. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, oddly enough.
Sure.
And
strange.
I don't know if I mentioned this. I forget if I mentioned we talked about Sammy Davis Jr. Did I talk about we talked? I saw the documentary that they did on PBS.
No.
About Sammy Davis Jr.
No.
There's a guy who went through a lot. Black, Jew, worked his way from vaudeville, literally, tap dancing, all the way to this mega star, and then the 70s and the whole thing. And there was an interview clip of Sammy talking to some late night host in the 70s, and he says, "Can you believe I had to wear blackface?" And the host is like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, they made us when I was working with my father and my uncle, and we were traveling doing shows, tap dancing and doing dancing, just musical bits. Part of the bits they had to do at one point was wear blackface. They made a black man wear blackface."
Jesus.
I don't know, this to me is reminiscent to this New Day thing of like, we need to parodize you even more because we want to get more I don't know, you know what I mean? But there's like, you're not smart enough or unable to say no to how I'm going to exploit you and your culture and all these stereotypes. And it's amazing that there's a history of that. Black guy wearing blackface. I never heard of it before. And I couldn't believe it when I saw that in the documentary.
That blows
Fascinating
my mind.
documentary.
That blows my mind.
But yeah, it sort of ties into this whole thing and the WWE having all their issues as usual.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think that we're moving in the right direction because you see Kofi Kingston, for example, he's part of the New Day.
Don't even start with me on
He's starting to get a push because, as they say, he's finally proven himself.
What does that mean?
It means he's proven himself. What do you mean? He's finally showing that he can take the ball and run with it. Like Vince says, my friend Vince always talks about grab the brass ring.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Everybody has the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to step up and take the opportunity and grab the ring.
What are the metrics here? What exactly are we judging this on? How are you grabbing the brass ring?
In wrestling, how do you grab the brass ring?
Well, I mean, first of all,
it's
you
a setup.
Perform well in the ring and
but how long have you been there?
Merchandise. Well,
he wasn't performing well in the ring like 2 years ago?
6 years ago? 8 years ago? When wasn't he performing well in the ring?
Well,
when wasn't the merchandise selling?
Well, Kofi's.
All right, what's the merchandise? Give us the rundown. Who's selling a lot of merchandise? Because I see it. I mean, I see it everywhere. You see it in your big box stores or wherever. You don't have to be in a wrestling event to see it.
Well, he's part of New Day, so he's consistently in the upper echelon of merchandise sales.
Right.
And
so what is now? Why now?
Why not? Well, because he's proven himself. He's finally stepping up to the plate here. He's finally grabbing the brass ring.
You know what I think this is?
What?
This is equivalent to our racist president saying, the blacks love me. Here, bring out. There's always that one guy at a rally that's like, wearing the blacks.
Always right behind him.
Yeah, wearing the Blacks for Trump T-shirt. Vince McMahon is doing essentially trying to do the same thing with this guy, going, "Look at me!
Don't do that.
How can I be racist?
Don't do that.
How can I be an asshole?
Don't do that.
The blacks love me.
Don't discredit.
And now I'm going to take there's a black guy. Let's make him champion.
Don't discredit how they're putting Kofi Kingston in a position to get pushed.
Actually,
okay?
let's make him champion. But wait, no, we're not going to make him champion. No, we're not. At the last minute, we're going to pull the rug out from under him.
Well, the guy has to sell merchandise, which he's doing okay, but
is
not
but
number
is
one.
that it? Since when is that the only? You're making that a much bigger deal than you've ever done.
You sell the merchandise based on what happens in the ring, though, and how much screen time you're getting.
Okay.
Right. So the more they make him the champion, there's
no.
Wait a minute. If they don't make him the champion, it's not going to sell more? What are you, out of your mind? Of course it is.
We don't know that yet. He hasn't been champion yet. So let's just pump our brakes on that.
Find me data that shows one wrestler who's been made champion that the sales went down of their merchandise.
You know what? You always
Doesn't
try
happen.
to find fault in everything that Vince does.
It's not hard.
I don't even understand
it's like
that.
it's like an avalanche. I have to dodge fault. I'm not looking for it.
You're going to take something that's good. This Kofi Kingston story that's happening right now, where he's finally getting, he stepped up.
I don't want to go down this road, but tell the listener, because it's probably the only one, the Booker T story, if you would, so that I don't have to.
You're not going to.
No, go ahead, because you're the expert. You're Mr. Expert Wrestling. Go ahead, explain it.
So Booker T and was building himself up.
Mm-hmm.
He was a former WCW champion, but now he's in the WWE. Mm-hmm. He's building himself up, and he was in
selling
a program.
Merchandise.
Okay, he was selling merchandise. Sure, he was in a program
proving
with
himself.
H. Well, okay,
he's grabbing the
I
brass
understand
ring.
what you're pointing, but he was in a program with Triple H.
Yeah,
and they were playing on racist stereotypes and
you
making
don't
fun
say.
of him and all that stuff.
Color me surprised.
Everyone expected Booker to win the championship, but he didn't, which upset some people because it's like, well, why was Triple H running him down and calling him a boy and all this other
why
stuff?
Triple H, who
and
actually runs the WWE
you don't even let him win the belt. But I think that Booker just wasn't ready.
How long has he been in the business?
Over 20 years.
Okay, so I think you're being
how
ridiculous.
Long do you need to get to be?
Yeah, you have to be 400 years old to be champion of WWE. How long's Rousey been in there? She's had title shots. How long have all these other wrestlers been in there? How long's Roman Reigns been in there?
What are you trying to say?
That they're racist. So I've been saying it. What do you mean?
I don't think.
I think that they're racist. I think that they're sexist. I think that they're flying so close to losing all. And I think McMahon, in his elder years, it's like the serial killer wants to get caught. This is what he's doing. He wants it to be right on that edge, and he kind of he'll finally get a natural erection if he gets caught and has to go before Congress again or something. He wants it to happen because that's mainstream. That goes back to what they're talking about. You got to be mainstream. There's no way to do it other than through controversy, and he's hoping something catches fire, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
All right, you know what?
And you're disgusting for defending him.
No, I'm not.
What the hell's wrong with you?
I'm not going to sit here and let you run my friend down like this. Thank you very much to Bruce Mitchell for joining us. I'm going to get out of here because the Boston Bad Boy is going to have Vince call me and be upset because this is just not right.
I just want everyone to know that next week, Ryan and I will be doing the podcast. You're out because
I'm out of my podcast.
It ain't yours.
Listen, I will have Vince McMahon sue you to get me back on the show.
Okay.
How about